What we're trying to work out, is whether this correction leads to something more deeply entrenched, a bear market, that ultimately leads to the end of the cycle. Can you think of an analog here, some kind of historical parallel to the moment we're in, and where ultimately you think this heads? End of cycle dynamic, entrenched bear market, what do you think this is going to?
So this growth cycle is different because you look at the three major areas in the world, they're all slowing, and it's hard to argue that they're going to pick up anytime soon. China has a serious issue with COVID, and lockdowns will continue. Europe is looking at a recession this year, and the US is slowing. So take the growth scare seriously. It is yet to be fully priced into markets. And the worst thing to have is a growth scare at the same time as an inflation scare. But that's what happens when central banks fall behind the curve.
Where's the leverage right now? Where's the leverage that you'd be concerned about at the moment?
Well, the good news is it's not in the banks. It's in the non-banking sector, and we're seeing it coming out. We're seeing it coming out from areas where people ventured when they really shouldn't have ventured. So it doesn't surprise me what we saw in crypto. It doesn't surprise me what we're seeing in high yield. Keep an eye on investment grade. That's the key issue, because if there's been excessive leverage taken there, then it's a completely different outlook. That's when finance contaminates the economy, as opposed to the economy contaminating finance.
The reason I ask this, of course, is because it gives you some indication as to what kind of downturn we could get in this economy if things go wrong. Have you given thought to that? I believe you have. If you have, can you share that with us?
So unlike others, I do believe stagflation, unfortunately, is the baseline. We're going to see notably lower growth, and we're going to see frustratingly high inflation for this year and into next year. Whether we get something worse depends on the soft landing debate for the Fed. I do think that the left tail of recession is something that we must keep an eye on.
When you say stagflation, just on the growth side of it, what does that mean? Is that basically an economy that's not growing? Is it about the level, or is it about the rate of change? What's important there?
It's two things, about the rate of change and stabilizing at a growth rate in the 1% to 2% range. And that's too low for this stage of where we are in the economy.
So your baseline, 1 to 2 GDP, where's inflation at?
So I think we get stuck, unfortunately, in the 5 to 6 handle. And what we're going to see is we're going to see the third round of inflationary pressure. Very few people paid attention to the PPI yesterday. That's an 11% print on the PPI, 11%.
Do you think we've become desensitized to some of these numbers? What does that tell you that we did shrug that off? Is that good news? Has the market started to become more resilient, or is that just complacency?
I think it's complacency. I think we used to shrug off the CPI numbers. Now we focus in a big way on the CPI numbers. We haven't quite realized that the PPI numbers are a leading indicator of the CPI numbers. So we have got to focus on that as well.